Hi, McCartney fans, and welcome to episode 122 of Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. We are a Paul McCartney talk show mainly dealing with the solo career of Paul McCartney. I'm one of your two co-hosts, Tom Hunyadi, and you may know me from my other show, Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles videocast. And I'm being joined by my partner in crime, my backwards traveler, Andy Nichols. Andy, what's going on, my friend?
Good morning, partner. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. The sun is shining. It's a bright day, and it's getting warmer already. And
It is.
it's a
It
good
is.
day. It's a good
Yeah, well,
day.
it is. So, yeah, we're happy to have a good guest on here today and to talk about a topic that we haven't tackled since I've been on two legs.
Right?
Yet. I mean, you guys might have in the past dabbled into
No, we haven't really tackled this at all, and I'm really excited about it because we've talked about we're going to be talking about bootlegs today, and
bootlegs.
yeah, and I've said in the past though, I didn't grow up with them. I didn't seek them out, so I'm really curious to learn a little bit more about these bootlegs because I am slowly, gradually, getting into them and and the wonderful stuff that's on them. So we're going to be talking about that. And we are joined by a guest, like you said. He is Tom Brennan. He has been a fan of the show and a friend of mine. I got to meet him at the 2018 White Album Symposium in face to face. So that was a pleasure to meet Tom there. And he also did a guest spot on When They Was Fab with Ed Chen. So that was a lot of fun. And he was also contributed to this fella right here, the Eight Arms to Hold You book. So Tom Brennan, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Great to be with you guys.
Thank you. So, before we get to the bootlegs, real couple quick news items. We're going to talk about the lyrics book here. We all know that it popped up on Amazon for $100. I
A jaw
pre-ordered.
dropping price of a
Yeah,
hundred.
jaw dropping price. I mean, the thing is pretty massive. I mean, it looks like it's going to be, put together really nicely. It is 154 songs, like we've talked about before. But I mean, it's two books. They look really thick, so hopefully it's quality paper, quality stock, or whatever you want to call it. And
Would you like to include Tom Brennan in on our wager for the book? Get his 2 cents on it. What do we
yeah,
think?
so Andy, the other day we were joking around about the book, and he said, I guarantee, well, you pretty much was like saying, what's the over under on Beatles songs in the book? And you were like 80. So I picked under 80. Tom, what do you think there's going to be more than 80 or less than 80 Beatles songs in this book?
I think less than 80
Okay.
because he
Okay.
wrote
Okay.
a lot with John, so there's not that many that are just mainly Paul.
Right.
Okay. All right. Score one for Tom. Let's see.
We'll
150.
see. We will see. I mean, you got to look at it too this way. I mean, he did write a bunch of early songs too that weren't Beatles songs. So you really can't necessarily call those Beatles songs if they weren't recorded by the Beatles or put out by the Beatles,
True. Fair point. Fair point. But they might fall into that window if we're going to get
Yes, that's
technical.
that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. So it's but however, the point I'm getting to is that it did come out as $100, but the price did drop to 60. So if you did pre-order it right away, you are locked into that $60 price. Now, if it even goes down to $40, you're still going to get it for $40. That's the beautiful thing about pre-ordering with Amazon, though. If the price does change for and it goes down, then you're going to get it for that lower price, which is one of the reasons why I like ordering from Amazon. But again, after last week it did go down to 60, then it went back up to like 93 or something like that, and then now it went down to $60 again. So hopefully
It stays
everybody
there. Yeah.
got their, like Tom, you said you pre-ordered it for $60, right?
Yeah, the second time around.
Right, the
Yeah.
second time.
The first time I was kind of busy and I didn't get to
Right.
order it right away.
Right. Well, I mean, were you interested in getting the book anyways?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a lot like I think it's going to be a lot like George's I Me Mine.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
it's got
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of good information in it.
Right. I hope so. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be information that we already know, especially during all those Beatles songs. you know. Yeah, and as he falls asleep.
Well, we know Hey Jude and Yesterday is going to be in it because the artwork shows that.
Right. And that's fine. I mean, whatever it is, what it is. You're gonna fill a couple pages with those are automatic page fillers with with those two songs, So, but yeah. But anyways, in other news too, we've got a new video on the Paul McCartney YouTube channel, and that was a making of the When Winter Comes video. And Tom, you checked that out, right?
Yeah, it's very good. It's Jeff Dunbar
Right.
speaks in it and shows how he does the artwork, and they talk to the animators and the painters.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
used
not
Jeff
very
Dunbar.
long,
He
but it's
used Jeff Dunbar again for that one, huh? Wow,
Right. Yep. Yeah,
cool.
it seems like he's the go-to animator
Yeah,
for McCart for anything McCartney. So
it certainly seems so.
yeah, so I will post that on the Two Legs Facebook page. So if you haven't seen it, maybe you can check it out there, or you can just go to Paul McCartney's YouTube channel, check it out there. So that should be fine. So I gotta make sure I check that out. I do know that it's out. I just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
So
this between that and the lyric videos. I mean, that was the first time really he's pumped out so many lyric
yeah.
videos for a new album. So
Yeah, so it should be good. Should be good. And there's also some interesting news that we're going to be talking about when we get more information on that. And that's it looks like we're going to get like a covers McCartney 3 album, with a bunch of newer artists covering those songs. So we don't have much info on that. So I'm just going to end it right there until we get more info
yeah,
on it. So it looks pretty
There's a
interesting.
track listing on the Hoffman forums. You can see that
Right.
on there. That's where we found it yesterday. So
Right, right. So a bunch of new artists covering McCartney 3. So pretty interesting, pretty interesting idea. So but today, like I said, we're going to talk about some bootlegs and really interested in this show, and we got Tom Brennan here to talk, help us through that. I know Andy's a big bootleg guy. Tom's a big bootleg guy. I'm just starting to, like I said, gradually get into them. First, Tom, let's talk about the Eight Arms to Hold You book, because you did contribute to this, right? And how did that happen, and how did you get to meet Chip Mattinger?
well, the book started out actually before that with Doug Sulpi's The 910.
Okay.
He was doing a series of outtakes books on the Beatles, and eventually he got to a solo outtakes book.
Hmm.
And Chip and Doug collaborated on that book, and I was one of the proofreaders on that one. So it was natural when Chip decided to do a bigger version of the book, um, that he brought me in as one of the proofreaders again.
Okay.
And Doug wasn't involved with the bigger book because it was such a mammoth project.
Right.
He didn't want to get
So how
involved in
much?
such a
Yeah.
big
So
project.
so how did that work? Did he just present you chapters when they were done, or did he just dump a bunch of pages on you and you just proofread them from there?
Yeah, he had a list of people to help him out, and he broke it up into sections, and he mailed me one section of the book to
Okay.
look over and check for errors.
Well, were you able to correct anything?
Yeah, yeah, I found some things. I don't
Right.
remember what they were. There's, a lot of them were minor things or
Right.
factual, but yeah, I remember fixing some things. I just don't know. It's
Gotcha.
been over 20 years,
was
so
Right.
this was this would have been like late 90s? I mean, because the book was published in 2000, so we're talking like probably late 90s was when you were proofing this stuff.
yeah,
Probably right, like
second half of
90.
the 90s.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, which scary how long ago that was now, but yeah.
It was 20 years.
Plus,
20 plus years ago. It's amazing how time just flew by. Talk about your fandom, Beatle McCartney fandom. When did you discover McCartney's solo music? Were you a solo fan first, or a Beatle fan first?
Well, I heard solo McCartney first when I was 7 years old. I remember hearing Another Day
Mm,
and Uncle Albert on the radio in 71.
okay.
And my sister collected some of the early singles like My Love and Live and Let Die, and got the Red Rose Speedway album. So, and then
Gotcha.
from there, then my my brother and sister got the red and the blue Beetle collections.
Right.
That's where I started the Beatles. But I
Okay.
had both. I had that and the Wings records at the same time.
Gotcha.
So,
So
and
you
then when
went
I got
solo,
older, around
solo.
1976, then I started buying my own Beatles albums.
Oh, okay. Cool. So yeah, like, so you, like a lot of people, discovered, kind of solo first and then went to the Beatles and then, more solo then again, right?
Yeah,
Were
it
you
was
following all
mainly
four of them?
Wings. The other
Yeah.
solo Beatles didn't come until later.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So let's talk about, discovering bootlegs. I mean, you got the albums, but then all of a sudden, you see these bootlegs and, how did you discover bootlegs?
Well, I think it was going to the first New England Beatles convention.
Mm,
That was around 1979, 1978. Charles Rosenay started up conventions.
Right.
okay.
I missed the first one, but the second one I was able to go to. And then that's where I discovered them in the marketplace, in the flea market.
Mm,
And then eventually, once I got my driver's license, then I started discovering independent record stores that had some bootlegs, that
right.
you could find if you dig deep enough into the store.
Right. Right. So what would be on these bootlegs? I mean, obviously it's McCartney, but they're not official albums. I mean, these are more what, like outtakes and demos.
Early on, um, there were compilations of Beatles and solo mixed up on
Mm,
albums. Like you'd get My Carnival from a news report on TV. They put that on there with some other, John Lennon outtake, or,
Yeah.
mm,
hodgepodge of different recordings from off of TV, or and then there were some McCartney, like you'd get an album of James Paul McCartney, the
mm.
soundtrack
Oh,
off the,
interesting. Oh,
they
look
would
at
just
that.
put
There
the
you go.
audio onto a vinyl album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there were the audience recordings of early Wings concerts. You get the early Wings university tour. There was one show that came out on vinyl, and
Gotcha.
a show from Leeds, 1973, that was on vinyl,
Mm,
but it just came in a plain white cover with a
okay.
piece of paper inserted.
Very. You look at some of those
It's not like
bootlegs.
what you're used to seeing now with everything looking professional.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it was basically just like a white, cardboard sleeve with a piece of paper slapped on the front of it of the show and what was on it. That was how it
Like,
used to be.
here's an example. Wings from the Wings. This is the paper. It was a box set, a three
Right,
album box set, and this paper was just inserted into the shrink wrap.
right.
Uh,
So
interesting. Interesting. So they weren't cheap, were they? Bootlegs at the time, or ever, really?
No,
the vinyl, I can't remember the prices of the vinyl. I'm sure they were double or triple what a standard album costs.
Right. Now,
10 or $15 maybe. Or
really? Now, did you dive into these bootleg? I mean, were you collecting them as soon as you saw them?
yeah, whatever I was interested in,
Yeah.
concerts and alternate recordings and outtakes, and yeah, all that
Right.
stuff. Because once I collected all the Beatles albums, there was a void, and I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to hear more things, more something new that I hadn't heard before.
Right.
So then I
Right.
started looking for, these bootlegs that had,
Right.
something different to listen to.
Right. So, like you said, now you would find these at more your mom and pop, more the independent stores, because I mean they are, for the most part illegal, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they had one section.
Right.
I mean, they didn't advertise them, but if you knew the owner, he could, show you where
Right.
he kept them.
Gotcha.
They weren't in
Gotcha.
the back room or anything, but he just kind of discreetly stored them with all the other albums.
Right. Andy, when did you discover bootlegs?
Probably I guess mid '90s when I was a teenager. Started going to the Beetle fests and stuff like that here in New Jersey at the Meadowlands.
Right.
Right at the dawn of basically pre-internet, so the internet was still, started, but you couldn't get them like they are now. So it was, you'd go, like Tom said, you go to the marketplace at these shows, and they'd have them there. And
Right.
I know, but it was definitely sketchy, some sketchiness though, especially at the Beetle Fest. You'd go and you'd say, oh, where's the where are the bootlegs at? And you'd say, oh, you got to go up to the third floor and do like 3 knocks, and they'll let you in. The lost Lennon tapes, though I used to go, try to get a lot of them on vinyl.
Right.
Especially when I started collecting CD, obviously was the advent, and they really started becoming much more professionally made. I mean, they looked like legit releases. They were
so they're putting them out on CD too, just not vinyl then.
By the time I got into started doing it, yeah, in fact, it probably was more CD heavy at that point. Talking about pre-digital age, really. So the CD format is still king. So I mean, you could see CDs, bootleg CDs, go for $40, $50, $60
wow.
or more for some sets.
Wow.
So they were not cheap pre-internet. So I dabbled in a little bit of Beatle bootleg stuff, but mainly focused on McCartney bootlegs, because there was an early Beatles bootleg called Get Back to Toronto, which some might know, white, which I had that one. Sweet Apple Tracks is another good one, which I had. But I mainly wanted to dive into the Lennon and McCartney stuff, and Lost Lennons. It was like 30 of those to grab. And
right.
So the CDs, but they started becoming so professionally made. I mean, you start looking at some of these, like the ones pressed by Vigitone, like this, like Pizza and Fairy Tales, like with the booklet and everything else. It's like, but before the internet, and you go to YouTube, this is what you had to do if you wanted to get this stuff,
Right. So Tom, I mean, a lot of these came from overseas, right? I mean, do you know where a lot of these bootlegs where they came from?
Most of them were made somewhere in Europe.
Okay.
And then there were others from Japan.
Oh, Japan as well.
But,
wow.
But most of the time they put a country that wasn't where it was really made.
I would hope so.
Made in Luxembourg or something.
Right. But not really, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just lead them off to, off a different
Throw
path.
them off the trail.
There you go. There you go.
I'm sure some of them could have been pressed in one country and packaged in another country. So
interesting. Okay.
Who knows?
Right. So, collecting the bootlegs, then, with the McCartney ones, what were some of your earlier McCartney bootlegs that you remember getting, Tom?
Wings from the Wings, the one I showed, the live album. There's one here. This one I wanted to show because this one's probably one of the coolest as far as the label that it's on. This is like a parody of this is on Ayatollah Records. Got the Ayatollah. It's got a joke listing of also available on Ayatollah Records. Khomeini sings Cole Porter. Get Funky with Khomeini. Camel Driver songs.
That's a cool one, Tom. I have not seen that one before.
Yes, this is
So what's on that then?
That looks
like the Liverpool show from 79.
79.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. That's a cool one. I dig that one a lot. That's a cool bootleg.
Yeah. This is hard to find now, I'm sure.
Right.
Oh,
how was the sound quality on those early bootlegs?
This one's not the greatest.
I'm sure someone just recorded it, with like some kind of recorder or whatnot. It wasn't professionally recorded. I mean, it's not the soundboard mix or anything like that.
No, those.
This one's not. No.
Yeah.
They're not great.
This is not like Glasgow or Campuchia.
Right.
Yeah, no.
This is a audience recording. It's decent, but it's not the whole show. It's just a one album highlights.
Oh, really? Okay, so it's just certain songs from the from that show.
It wouldn't
then.
be complete
concert,
show. Yeah.
So that probably would have been a double LP then, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I grabbed one actually not too long ago, and it was a
Right.
different cover, but yeah, 2 LPs. But yeah, I got that one too. Yep,
Okay.
Fly
Cool.
South.
What is
Yeah,
that now?
yeah, it's another early one. Yeah,
This is an
South.
early one.
Okay.
This is the Australian tour.
Australian
Okay. So
tour.
75 then?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. And
that's
that's got
very
the Junior's
early.
Farm on there, and that's got
Yes.
the Woman Oh
Uh,
Why. I'm sorry, no,
Little
Sea
Woman Love. Yeah.
Little Woman Love and Sea Moon mix. Yeah.
um,
Actually, that one's not on here.
yeah,
Actually.
those are missing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
Uh,
while before I got to hear those.
yeah. But again, yeah, early 70s bootlegs. Nothing
Oh,
crazy.
interesting. So then I'm
Um,
sure the audio on that's probably not the greatest either then.
no, actually, it's better. It's better. This one's actually not too bad. This one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, again, it's not soundboard, but it's
Right. Yeah, and it's not somebody's phone either.
no. But that's
Yeah.
that's an early one too that I had gotten as well.
Yeah. And I'm sure through
Yeah.
as technology got better too over the years that the quality of these bootlegs got improved greatly, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the early CDs from the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of times they would just copy the vinyl and burn it onto a CD. It took
Uh
quite a few years for it to get to be higher
yeah.
quality from source tape material.
Right, right. And it's like one of those where you can hear the needle drop on the vinyl on the CD probably, and you hear
Yeah,
all
you
the
know the
pops.
crackles. Yeah,
yeah. I
like
think
some of the early McCartney, like the Ram promo, "Brung to You By,"
Brung to You
Right.
by that
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
yeah, yeah. There was a bunch of McCartney on a label, Ram. The label is called Ram. It was a series of
Right.
CDs, but those are all from vinyl.
Just
Okay.
Those
rips.
those are
Yeah,
kind of
straight rips.
crappy. Then
Yeah,
there was
but
another label, Condor, that was from vinyl.
yeah.
Okay. Now there's a bunch of different were there any legit companies putting these out? I mean, these were all like independent stuff, bootleggers. I mean, and I'm sure they changed their names throughout their
Yeah,
their history,
the
right?
one consistent one that pretty much really kind of cornered the market, in my opinion, was Vigitone.
Okay.
Vigitone they're the ones responsible for a lot of the McCartney, the really high end, the McCartney ones they put out. They're the ones that did Last Flight, Pizza
Right.
and Fairy Tales. Vigitone, they did a great McManus McCartney one
Okay.
as well. They're the ones. I mean, late '90s, I think, were the ones that kind of stepped up their game in terms of
Now
really.
they do like DVDs too, I think, right? Vigitone?
I'm not sure. Maybe Tom knows.
No,
Mm,
mainly CDs.
okay.
Maybe you're thinking of Swingin' Pig or
Maybe, yeah.
um,
Um, yeah,
Okay.
but
All right.
Vigitone seems to be like it was like Yellow Cat was an early big bootleg label. A lot of the yellow you can get a lot of the Beatles stuff was on Yellow Cat or Yellow Dog. I forget which one.
Yellow Dog, and then Yellow Cat came later. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
yeah. I had it reversed. Yeah, Yellow Dog,
All right.
Yellow Cat. They were kind of early, kind of bootlegger runners of labels, still quasi labels that they manufactured these things. But Vigitone really they up the quality. I mean, like the liner notes that go into some of these things. It's like an archive release.
Really?
And
Yeah,
then another major label was Strawberry. They put
yeah,
out these Unsurpassed Masters.
yeah.
One of my favorites. There's two
Okay.
CDs.
Now what's on that one?
It's got rough mixes of Red Rose Speedway tracks and Ram tracks,
Oh, cool.
and some live tracks from Newcastle.
Okay. And you said that's a double one?
Yeah, there's two separate CDs. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, they're kind of I would say not useless, but they don't, with all the archive stuff now, they're kind of meaningless now because nearly all that stuff has been out. Obviously not all the live shows, but we're talking about like the rough mixes and all the alternates that are out there now. It's especially for the Wing stuff. A lot of that's all been neatly summed up now, but
Right.
They still missed a few tracks on the archive collection. They didn't release Loop or When the Night. Those tracks are still not released.
Right. See,
I've
and that's the good thing about the bootlegs then is because the McCartney archives are not giving us nowhere near as much as they could give us with the stuff.
well,
And the bootlegs, I mean, this is a great example of where you're gonna hear things that you won't hear anywhere else.
Yeah, the archive really only gives you the cream of the crop. It leaves off the
Mm,
lesser, you know,
It's a very,
popular
that's a
tracks.
very interesting thing you bring up. And with the recent news with the Plastic Ono Band box
right.
coming out with 159 tracks, it's really interesting to see how much they differ in terms of what their archives teams are putting out. Now, McCartney charges a lot. You're only getting the cream of the cream, of the what's available. Now,
Right.
Lennon's team is putting out everything under the sun in these ultimate mixes, for I would say a little bit less. I mean, what
Yeah.
for the average price of an
Right.
archive? So, strategy with how these are done. It seems to be the Lennon camp is giving more value for money in terms of the
In
content.
terms of music, yeah, but the the McCartney archives just seem to give you more in the form of text and
Photographs,
archive, yeah, photographs and
the
handwritten lyrics and stuff like
yeah, the
that.
whole little
Yeah,
things they throw in inside and stuff.
right. So, which is not done cheaply either. I mean, you gotta, unfortunately, you gotta uh, factor that into the price as well.
Oh, sure.
So,
Yeah, I
but
was looking to see what the archive collections missed, and there
mm,
there are several things they missed, like the Live in Newcastle concert in '73.
mm,
They
Soundboard
gave us one
recording.
song from that,
right.
Yeah.
Big Barn Bed. That's it.
Right, and that
Oh,
that 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 show was a soundboard recording that's been
Yeah, that was
available.
professionally
That was
recorded,
professionally recorded, and that should
and
have
wow.
been
yeah,
released.
the bootleg
Mm.
of that came from an acetate of a
Test
test
pressing.
pressing of the.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how these people get that stuff. Like, you talk about, an acetate or a test pressing, you know, do they slide as somebody a certain amount of money to get, get that stuff, or are they actually inside people that get that stuff and, and try to make a few bucks off the side.
Yeah, they pay big money to get the original, and then they just
Right.
reproduce it.
Mm, wow.
Hardcore collectors.
Right. Now, one of the cool things about again, about the Eight Arms to Hold You is there is like a kind of a bootleg section where you can go in and you can check out all the different, you know, bootlegs of all four of them. And McCartney, I mean, he's got, there's 4 pages of bootlegs, so you can kind of, go through them, see if you can find them or whatnot, wherever you'll find them, whether or not you want to go on YouTube and find them or, wherever. But I thought this was really kind of cool, so I can kind of just like go down the list and look at them, see what's on,
yeah,
the track listing, and see if I'm interested in do that, to go
yeah,
down that path.
yeah. And you're coming into it at a nice time because it's all widely available. When Tom started collecting,
Right.
you had to kind of just get what you could get, and
Yeah.
shell out your hard-earned
Take it
cash.
home in a paper
And
bag and
and
listen
and
to
it
it under the
was
bed or
and it was a risk because you really
right,
didn't know the quality of how it was going to sound, unless you had
right.
a store that would let you play it before you bought it. But
Hey, listen, 30-40 bucks in 79 is a lot of money, you
you know,
know.
it's
And like you said, you're not 100% sure of the sound quality.
it was always a gamble buying these. Would the C and if you bought the CDR, because was it an original disc or was it just a CDR rip, and would it start to crap out? So there were that would happen too. Like the bootlegs would get bootlegged.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, that's where you'd want to subscribe to something like the 910 or Belmo's Beatleg News. He would review these things so you didn't waste your money.
Gotcha.
you know
Gotcha.
and it's interesting now, say within the last 15 years, if the bootleggers have been bootleg now because now it's all available on YouTube.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, and that's where I've been finding a lot of this stuff lately. Excuse me. You can easily type in the name of one of these, bootlegs here in the book, and you can easily, find it, like a few months back, when I discovered the Pizza and Fairy Tales
oh,
set that you have,
yeah,
and man, really cool. And then again, a couple years ago, I got turned on to the Return to Pepperland bootleg, which again is a really cool one. In that with that mid to late 70s, I'm sorry, mid to late 80s McCartney, with stuff that still hasn't been released. So
right.
really cool thing. I mean, this is where you're gonna find stuff like Boyle Crisis, right?
Yep.
water spout, just stuff like that just hasn't been released. You're going to find them on these bootlegs.
Yeah, yeah. The first time I heard Boil Crisis was on this doozy, this War and Peace.
Yeah, so you got War and
Yeah.
Peace there, right? And it makes no sense that that's on that, because that was
No.
that was recorded in the 70s.
Right, but they threw it on at the end here. Yeah.
Right, yeah. See, and I've seen that at my local record store too, and I've been thinking about picking that up.
Now what is it at? What does it go for now?
$30, 30.
30. Yeah. I think I might have paid 20 for it 20 years ago.
Right.
There's another one called Rude Studio Demos.
Mm.
That was vinyl and then CD.
Then CD with the red. Yeah.
That most of that's been released on the Tug of War archive collection.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the case where a lot of this stuff has been out now. But the Tug of War stuff, all these demos came out.
I think the rest of them will end up either with London Town, Back to the Egg.
Right.
They should come out with that.
Yeah, I would think so.
You would hope, definitely hope.
That and the rest of the cold cuts that haven't come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the We All Stand Together demo that hasn't been out yet, right? Was that released on an archive yet?
Yeah, I thought that
Pipes of Peace.
Pipes of Peace. Well, I'll have to go back and check, but I don't think so. No, but I have heard it.
That 1980 demo or whatever. I don't think that's been out yet either.
Right. Where it's just McCartney doing all the different kinds of voices throughout. Yeah.
That's
no,
not
I don't
out
think
yet.
that's been. No, it's not out yet. But really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
And that's where the only place you're going to hear a lot of these kinds of things. I mean, I'm sure the only way you could hear Ebony and Ivory with just Paul on it before the archive was on these bootlegs.
Sure.
Another bunch of stuff that hasn't come out is all the Venus and Mars outtakes and rough mixes. They didn't put any of that material on the archive collection at all.
No, not really. You got
There's some interesting things there.
Yeah, you got that 8-minute version of Rock Show on there, but you got a lot of excuse me, unreleased stuff. I mean, you got like 4th of July, Let's Love, a lot of stuff like that where you didn't really get a lot of outtakes from Venus and Mars, like you said.
True.
That has some things like a rough version of Medicine Jar where Jimmy's singing a different vocal,
right,
playing different guitar parts. And then you got the songs with the complete endings before they cross-faded them and edited them together. So you get to hear the raw versions of tracks like Rock Show, Venus and Mars, Reprise, and
Right. So you're like I said, you're getting the best of the best on these McCartney archives. But if you really want to get all the nuts and bolts of what's out there, like Tom is saying, then if you have these bootlegs, then that's an interest to you. You have stuff that's still not commercially available. So, there's a market out there, but there is an appetite out there for this stuff that people want. Right. They can go get it.
I'm kind of thinking the reason that didn't come out is the source tape of that is a crappy cassette. That could be why it didn't get released. Maybe there's no good quality tape of it.
Well, to be fair though, we did get what was it? Was it Some Days from Flaming Pie that was on a cassette in the rainstorm or whatever?
Yeah.
So, I can't remember if it was Some Days or what was it that was on the cassette that we heard? Because you could hear the hiss, so you can tell.
Tape.
But I mean, I guess that was important to the set, so that's why we got it. But and it is frustrating when you get these archive sets and there's only like 7 or 8
tracks on a disc. Yeah,
right.
I can't stress the importance, and Tom is older than me, so he can definitely attest to this, but the pre-internet age of getting these things and the labor of love it went into, you really had to be passionate to find what you wanted. And, again, early internet, pre-internet, you have to read these books, these magazines, these trade journals. Where can you find this? Where can you find that? It was a big deal to find these things, and then to pay the money to get them. It's a world now that a younger Beatle fan now or McCartney fan would have no concept of, because they just look it up and they've got it. But back then, like late 70s, early 80s, as Thomas said, that was you really had to do your homework to go get this stuff. You really did.
In the 90s, I most of the time I paid about $25. That was typical for a CD.
Typical, yeah.
25, 30
for one disc.
For one disc, $25. when a commercial CD was $15.99 or $16.99.
Right.
Right. The bootleg would be 25, and
Yeah.
depending on where, if you were somewhere else in New York, it could be 30.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Tom, what are some of your favorites throughout the years?
This is another good one. Midnight Beat put this out, and I think you talked about it on your episode with Mine for Me. It's got that little snippet of 4th of July on it.
Oh yeah, from the James
Ah.
Paul
14
McCartney, from the
seconds of it.
acoustic. Yeah, the
Yeah,
acoustic section.
acoustic,
Yeah.
making of James Paul McCartney.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
that's on YouTube.
Right.
Exactly.
See, there
Right.
you go. See, that's how there it's on YouTube. See?
But it's
Right.
not listed on the CD. That's the thing. I
Right.
only found out about it from reading Chip and Mark's book.
Yeah,
That's all.
same
I
here.
had to go
Same
back
here.
and listen to it again.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It
So
goes by so
this,
quickly you don't notice it.
right. So unfortunately, it is out of print. You can get the ebook of it now, but yeah, I mean, this all that info would be in, excuse me, in that book. So
Yeah.
But
This-
Andy, what are some of your favorites?
This sucker right here is like my Bible. This was my introduction to like McCartney bootlegs, B-sides, everything. This is called B-sides. It was from 1997. This had Water Spout on it. It was the first time. I didn't even know Water Spout before I got this.
Gotcha.
Water Spout, Wings of a Nightingale,
Oh, nice.
1882.
Oh, I've got this one.
Yvonne is on here too.
Nice.
So, and then you had and there's like the First Stones on here, and then you had like stuff that wasn't really digital. So like, I'll give you a ring, or to a koala bear, Rain Clouds, Spies Like Us, Simple as That, and like Tough on a Tightrope, the extended cut, so all these kind of odds and ends.
Right.
But like, this was like my Bible, like my introduction to everything. And this is called B-sides. And I think it's also come out as B-sides himself as another one too. So
Gotcha.
that was my gold standard one back in the day.
Mm.
This one I have this is similar to what Andy was talking about. This one is on Bigatone, Good Times Coming.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
This has
Now, those are, like-
Yvonne, and this is the first time we got to hear Rock Show, the alternate versions of Rock Show.
Mm.
And it's got some tracks from The Backyard,
Okay.
and it's got On the Wings of a Nightingale demo, probably the best
Right.
copy of that one.
Mm.
Gotcha. What else you got, Andy?
Other early, let's see. Well, listen, here's a classic, I think you've seen this too, is the Cold Cuts, right?
Yeah, that's the cover that's probably most well known.
The
for
most
it,
well-known
yeah.
Cold Cuts. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
pretty good one. I had the vinyl. This is another CD version of the James Paul McCartney one. Yeah, which has been out there for a while. Again, probably $25-$30 back in the day. And yeah, for that. But still, I get my all-time favorite one besides that B-sides one has got to be The Last Flight, though. I mean, the last Flight show.
Okay.
It's just so well done. The whole show on here,
Right.
and the Campuchia stuff, it's all soundboard. I mean, that's just so well made and produced.
Gotcha.
And we'll see if something gets included in this in that last London Town Back to the Egg box set. We'll find out.
Yeah, we would hope so. Because I can see the big 71 to 73 box set behind Tom there, that features the
big barn
live
box.
wing stuff. Yeah, the big barn box. Yeah. So
Oh yeah.
hopefully we'll get a 70. What would we call it? 77 to 79 box or 80 even.
So I guess they'd call it 78 to 80, or I guess I don't know. I think hopefully they don't include it. Make it separate. Will they make it as exclusive to the box, or will they make it available? I don't know.
Yeah. So what else? Some of your other favorites there, Tom?
This one, The Backyard. This is on Yellow Cat.
That's
Okay.
a Yellow Cat one. There's
It's
a
got all
classic.
the
Yeah.
backyard acoustic recordings from One Hand Clapping,
Right.
and it has demos of Seaside Woman and Mole of Kintyre on it also.
Yeah, because that was started early in the early 70s, Mull of Kintyre. Actually.
74.
mid-70s.
Yeah.
74 demo. Yeah, on that one.
And then the One Hand Clapping, it's also on Yellow Cat.
So
Yes.
that's the whole one hand clapping show then, right?
All the audio recordings,
Oh, okay.
not from the not from the video. This is the audio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I got a kind of pretty a non-McCartney one, but it's, as a, in terms of like, here's a Lennon one that before, again, the internet, this was the only way you could get like Free as a Bird, the demo.
Oh, wow.
Was this one? I remember like, cause after obviously the Anthology came out, that was kind of a teenager then. So that was like, like how, now you'd know Free as a Bird. You hear a Lennon demo. I didn't know anything about Free as a Bird at all before the Anthology. Right. And I was like, what does this sound like? How does this, what's this song about? So I remember scouring, store upon store to find a bootleg of the Free as a Bird demo. And I finally found one there in the mid to late 90s that had, the Real Loves and Free as a Bird on it.
Cool. Yeah, when we had Jerry Murata on, we were talking about, obviously the press to play sessions, and there is a bootleg on YouTube that I forgot to write the name of it down, but you do get those initial sessions when Jerry was on it before you got the 80s production tagged on to it.
Tom, you're gonna know this one. You might even have it. I can think of it right in my
What's that for press to play?
Yeah, from press to play.
I can see the cover in my mind. It's like an orange one.
Played to Press is one of the CDs.
Played to Press, okay.
Could be that one, or maybe it's the alternate press to play.
Yeah, I think it might have been called the alternate press to play.
I think there's a few different titles. Yeah,
I think it was the alternate press to play.
But what's on that, Tom? What's on that?
Yvonne is on this also, but not as good as the other CD I showed you.
Okay.
It's got the live version of Only Love Remains from TV. And then it has rough mixes of Footprints, Right Away, Tough on a Tightrope, Pretty Little Head,
right?
Talk More Talk, Move Over Busker,
right?
Press, It's Not True. Most of the album.
Yeah. So and those I think were the tracks that Murata worked on.
Yeah, this is it in a digital form, but I think this is the cover. I don't know, Tom, you recognize this one, Tom?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's a different one.
Yeah, I think this is the one Jerry was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
Yeah. But yeah, there's so much out there, right? Like to throw it all on an archive set, maybe he feels it's not worth to throw 50 mixes of all these rough mixes and other tracks and stuff,
right?
Like a Lennon is doing. I don't know. We would buy it anyway. I know the three of us would.
Right. Andy, grab that War and Peace vinyl that you got, and let's talk about the track listing on that one.
So side one on this is Ballroom Dancing, Take It Away, Dress Me Up as a Robber, number 1, The Pound is Sinking, number 1, Keep Undercover, number 1, Average Person, Sweetest Little Show, all of which has since come out on the both archive editions. All of these. Side 2, Ebony and Ivory, just the Paul demo with the little electric, the little electric keyboard, which is really why I bought this, because I knew I wanted to hear that.
Right.
Another version of The Pound is Sinking, Keep Undercover, Dress Me Up as a Robber, Wanderlust, Take Her Back, Jack, We All Stand Together, and Boyle Crisis.
I gotcha. Yeah, so Boyle Crisis is kind of the odd man out there. Maybe they just use it as a filler.
Yeah.
But is there a year on that?
Not on this, no. But there is no year on it, and of course it's War and Peace by one of Paul's pseudonyms, Apollo C. Vermouth. Which he's used. Can I just say too, and Tom probably has a cool collection of, like, when you look at the actual, like, the label of all these bootlegs, sometimes they're just plain and they have nothing on them. Other times they kind of have really cool, like, artwork in the middle. This is the War and Peace one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's just like, sometimes they're nothing. Other times, they're they kind of go all out with stuff. Sometimes there's colored vinyl bootlegs. I know.
Yeah.
I have a copy of one of my lost Lennon tapes. Is like red. It's like red clear vinyl.
Yeah. Cool. A future guest of ours, Beetle, Beetle Brad. He's big into that bootleg color vinyl, so he'll show us some of that in a future episode.
Oh, cool.
So, but how's the sound quality? So, how's the sound quality on that particular bootleg?
War and Peace.
Yeah.
For one, great.
Okay.
It's great, and I don't actually notice any difference really in what was put out officially on these archives. They might be sonically maybe a little bit better, maybe a little less hiss, but to my ears, I don't notice a huge difference of improvement on what was on War and Peace than what we got as bonus tracks on the archives.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It's very close. Yeah.
right?
Okay.
You would
Just
agree,
a
Tom, right?
just a cleaner generation copy.
Yeah, but it's not
Mm,
like, oh my God, this is so bad. Like it was maybe just a little bit cleaner, but
right.
it's
Yeah.
you've heard it. So yeah, that
It's like these Ram and Red Rose Speedway rough mixes. The bootleg sounds perfect, so
Mm,
they really can't improve it that much when they put out the Red Rose Speedway box.
you're right. They really can't. So
right.
in those cases they can. But the live stuff, that's the you hear some of these early Wings recordings. I have a digital copy of like the first Wings show that they did, and they play Some People Never Know, and it's a really really rough recording. And if you look in,
Right.
as you know, in Chip's book, they talk about it. It's so some of those
Right.
early Wings shows are really really patchy. In terms of
Right.
quality recordings.
Gotcha. So, obviously, we're not going to, tell people to buy these because, we don't want to get in trouble or anything like that. But, Tom, you were talking about a website, that hasn't been updated recently that you could go to find these bootlegs, right?
To
Uh,
read
boot,
about them anyway.
Read about Bootleg Zone
Oh,
has a
read about it. Okay.
listing of all of them,
Yeah,
artwork and track listings, so you can go there for reference.
yeah.
Oh, so you can actually see the cover and
Oh,
the track
not only see
listing.
the cover, they have high quality scans that you can look at and pull
Right.
down, and of the disc of the books, the booklets that go
Right.
with it. I mean, I don't know the gentleman's name. I forget. Tom will know. But that Bootleg Zone has been a site for over 20 years in operation, and was like the gold standard to go to find out about the track listing. What was different about it? What were you looking for? What was there? Why was this the one you wanted? And everything was completely thorough. It was an incredible database. Not only just Beatles too.
Right.
He's got other artists on there as well.
Yeah,
But
every
obviously,
artist is on there.
So, what was the
yeah,
name of the website again?
Bootleg Zone.
Bootleg Zone. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. And that's
um,
still up. It just hasn't been updated in a while then, I guess, right?
It's
yeah,
just a one page note right now. There's nothing.
Okay.
yeah. But
Just a bunch of text.
yeah, but I don't know why. Maybe it was shut
I'm
down.
sure it's a lot of work to rebuild that, so it's going to take them
Mm,
months, maybe years to rebuild it.
Yeah, I remember. I would get these things, and you'd get them, and you'd go to Bootleg. Okay, first thing, go to Bootleg Zone. Why am I getting this one? What do I need it for? You
right.
know, and as we know, there's multiple versions of bootlegs. So like, which is the best one to get, right? Because
Right, right, right.
you know,
Because like Tom said, I mean, like Yvonne, for example, I mean, it sounds good. There's a good take on one CD, but on the other CD, it's the sound
could
quality is not
could
that great.
could sound like crap, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So it's you really had to do your homework just to a lot. You had to be super passionate to get this stuff just to even hear it. And
Right,
again, roll the dice and pay money.
right,
And sometimes you got it and you got a dud. Other times
right,
you hit a home run.
right, right. So I mean, you guys are still seeking bootlegs out, Andy? You still looking for them or no?
Nah,
Mm,
nah, because they're all on YouTube now. And
right,
they're the ways of the internet. You can get anything you want now. But my bootleg days are long over.
right. Yeah, Tom, what about you? I mean, are you still buying bootlegs, or are you pretty much done?
No, I don't buy them. I once in a while I'll look on the internet, but only if I'm tipped off by somebody that something new came out,
Okay.
or most of the new ones are fan remasterings or
Mm,
that kind of thing.
okay.
No, they clean things up or remix it,
Mm,
with some new software, things like that.
Yeah,
gotcha.
like
Not a
like a
whole
lot.
lot of brand new things coming out.
No, and you feel like people like Dr. Ebbets, which just Tom, I don't know if you're familiar. Dr. Ebbets is
Mm,
that's a series
Yeah,
of a guy who just redid all the Beatles stuff probably like 20 years before the 2009 remasters, and that was like, oh, you got to get the Dr. Ebbets version of the Beatles albums because he's remastered them all, and they're all that's the go-to version.
right.
There's a label in Italy, I think, D'Agostino, I think, Tom, right, is another big one.
yeah,
Um,
I haven't heard of that one.
I've read that one on Hoffman forums.
Mm,
The Beatles ones that have been produced by D'Agostino's are apparently, also still the ones to go by. So some people really they'll just forego even like the official. They're like, oh no, you got to get this guy's, remastering. It's bad. It's the best. That's a
right.
little excessive for my taste.
Right, right. Yeah. I'm surprised I didn't dig more into it because I think it was like 99, 2000, 2001, I was given a copy of, no, maybe even earlier than that, maybe 97, 98, given a copy of the Beatles Black album, which was, was the Get Back sessions
Sure.
and stuff like that. And, my first, listening to, early versions of Get Back and Paul singing, White Power, and all that stuff, and just
Yeah.
kind of being shocked by that, and why I didn't dig more into it there, I don't know, because I really, I mean, I still love that bootleg, and I'll go to YouTube and I'll listen to it from time to time.
Vinyl,
You know?
Tom, or CD?
Oh, I got it on CD,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But you could tell the audio wasn't great. But then again, the audio wasn't really that good all anyways, because you had a lot of times people were talking and saying, take such and such, because they were also filming it as well, because it was being filmed for the movie.
Right. Well, talk about
Um,
bootleg. Don't you have
yeah.
like one of the master collection? Don't you have the 86 CD thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was, my cousin David, original co-host of the show, he ended up buying the Mega Get Back set, and yeah, it took him a
Wow.
couple months, but he copied them all for me and sent them my way. Yeah.
Maybe Tom knows. I don't. I have that digitally, but I don't know who made the actual who manufactured that initial
Mm.
run. Tom, do you know?
The Niagara tapes?
Yeah.
I don't know. I downloaded all mine from online. I didn't pay
Oh, didn't.
anything. I burned
No.
my own discs
No. Yeah. Exactly.
day by
Exactly.
day.
But your
But
cousin David bought that.
yeah, he bought the set. He bought the set. I won't say where, but yeah, and then he burned them all for me and sent them my way. It's either 83 or 86 discs. I can't remember, but
Wow.
got into the first three and was blown away. But man, it just takes a lot of time to really listen to
That. Well,
all these,
yeah.
because you're getting a lot of repetitiveness repetitiveness
I
throughout
got
the whole set. You're getting 50 versions of Let It Be, 100 Get Backs, you know
That's
what I'm saying?
monotonous. And if you want,
Yeah.
there's out there. There's one called Niagara Gold, which
Mm,
actually is just pares down all that and pulls the best of the Niagara stuff
gotcha.
into a couple
Right.
of discs. That's it.
Yeah. But the best part about that set is all the chatter in between takes or songs.
Right.
Really the best part. I mean, early on, there's I think it was probably even on the first CD, you hear John and George talk, because Paul was late that day, and you talk about, I think George is talking about All Things Must Pass, the song, and you hear John kind of complain about there's too many chords on the song, so he really wasn't really interested in, in
Yeah.
learning it,
Yeah.
because it was probably just too much work for him, but I mean, it's chatter like that, and then and then there's also the chatter with Paul talking about Ringo going to do the Magic Christian, and how the movie probably wouldn't be that is probably not going to be that good.
Oh,
So I mean, there's this little chatter like that that's spaced out with between all 80 80 plus CDs.
'cause you have
That's
to really go through that to listen
Yeah.
to it, which is
And I
extraordinary.
gotta tell you, man, our buddies, over at the A is for Apple book, Alex Corneth, he was talking about how he listened to that whole set three times in a
Wow.
row. Now that's dedication
Wow.
right there, just to, for the, I think it was probably in the third volume of A is for Apple book, but
I don't know, Tom, have you listened to that the whole thing straight through?
I listened to the whole thing once when I burned all my CDs, but I never replayed the whole thing. Just
mm.
bits and pieces of it.
Right. And it's something you can't play. I mean, you can't play it all in one sitting. You gotta, you listen to like 20 minutes, you get up, walk away, and then you come back to it. It's just, you know,
That's some serious hardcore listening right there,
yeah,
even
absolutely.
for us.
The last couple days are the best. Those you can play over and over.
Right,
Oh,
right.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's when, I mean, a lot of the songs are really, at full flourishing. You got Billy Preston there. I mean, a lot of them, like you said, I mean, they're really good. And and then you get the outside concert too. You get the roof concert, I should say.
Sure.
So And that sounds good. I mean, really enjoy it. So I definitely would recommend, if you have the means or the patience to listen to that. I mean, I would definitely recommend that set for absolutely, for sure.
Cool.
But I mean, if you were starting out, Tom, what bootlegs would you recommend people if they're just starting out now? Like for
As
me, I'm just like
McCartney fan.
right, so I've like for me, I know Return to Pepperland and I know Cold Cuts and I know Hot Hits. Those are pretty much ones I know.
Yeah, one hand clapping, I would say. That's one of them.
Okay. And I'm really curious about that Backyard one too. Because
Backyard, and another one we haven't talked about is the Back to the Eggs Up.
Eggs Up.
yeah, Eggs
Yes,
Up.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Sunny Side Up. There's a couple titles.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sunny Side Up. There's one in there like that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And there's some nice stuff on that as well, like longer versions of like Winter Rose, Love Awake. I know there's a couple different edits and mixes on there that are really kind of cool. Hopefully, we'll get them, but I don't think we probably will based on the history of the archive stuff. So
Right.
I know that I go back to that one quite a bit to hear those versions. Especially of Winter Rose, Love Awake. There's one really nice one on there.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah.
Andy, what about you? What would you recommend people?
Starters for just McCartney.
Yeah.
McCartney, I would tell them to go probably definitely like James Paul McCartney.
The Making of, right? Is that what it's called? The Making of James Paul McCartney, or
no? This one is just the straight up audio of it.
Okay.
of the show.
Right.
That because it's just basically it's ripped from the video to audio.
Oh, so it's just the show then.
It's the show in audio form.
Okay.
So I would tell them to start with that.
Okay.
Pizza and Fairy Tales for sure.
Okay, yeah. I definitely want to check that one out because you have a physical copy of that, right?
Pizza and Fairy Tales, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, Pizza and Fairy Tales for sure. Last Flight, so any of those kind of big ones. The Newcastle concert from '73.
Okay.
Because it's professionally recorded. That I would definitely go see that, and maybe the occasional B-side thing. But just
the B-side one, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would be for people starting out looking. Yeah, I would tell them that's the direction I would point them in.
Okay.
Another good one is the Rupert soundtrack, the
Rupert
demo album.
Yes, that's
very
a good
cool.
one
What's
too.
on that, Tom?
The Rupert song is probably the best track on here. Track 1.
Okay.
That's the entire soundtrack from that aborted film, right? Tom, all the Rupert music.
So
yeah, we've heard some stuff on the Ram and Redwood Speedway archive.
Like sometimes Sunshine, right?
Yeah, that's on
and
there.
And then when the wind is blowing is on there too, or no?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then there's some instrumentals. But the Rupert song, the first track is the best. That's really catchy.
What's it called again?
Paul finished that. I don't know if you did.
What's the name of that bootleg?
This has the demo at the end. We All Stand Together is at the end of this.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the name of that bootleg?
On as a bonus.
Rupert, I think, Tom, it's just called Rupert.
Rupert song.
Rupert song.
Okay. Two versions of it.
Yeah, I'm looking for the other one. Yeah, I'm trying to find where that one is right now.
But Paul didn't really finish the lyrics to that song.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's something that he put a lot of effort into too, and it just never, nothing came of it until, finally in the, mid 80s with the Rupert Frog song.
So did they re-record this with Wings, or some of this like from the Ram session?
I thought so because, he put When the Wind is Blowing on the Wildlife set.
Are these re-recordings? I never figured out if these are re-recordings.
This is another big one too, Tom. The animated film soundtracks.
Okay.
Yeah.
The animated film soundtracks. Okay.
Yeah, that has a lot of the Rupert stuff in it as well as also the stuff from Down Year's Law and all that stuff.
Right.
Kind of all the film music that he did. That was another big one as well. So I digitized all these and put them on my phone. So.
Gotcha. Great.
Yeah, lots of stuff out there.
Wow. Amazing. Cool. Awesome. Tom, anything else you want to add before we sign off on this one?
Yeah, one more. Here's a joke. This is a more recent McCartney bootleg I found on the internet. Um, the cover shows a map of the world made out of steak. It shows Paul grilling steaks on a grill,
Medium rare, it's called.
medium rare, it's called. The coolest track on this CD is Sea Moon. There's an early take of Sea Moon that's totally different.
When's that from? Is there a year on that one, Tom?
I don't know. I found this in 2008.
Okay.
Nowhere Man Records.
Ah.
This is just a copy I made.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The a whole world out there if you're so inclined to dive into it.
Excellent. All right, Andy, anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Not much, man. Stay tuned for our next Ranking the Tracks, which as of this date, when this goes up, will be off the ground.
Cool. Tom, do you have anything else you want to plug? You want to let anybody know where you're at, and so they can, if they have any questions, regarding bootlegs, they can get a hold of you.
I have two websites, badfingerlibrary.com and splinterlibrary.com. The Splinter Library website also has Dark Horse Records artist information on it.
Right.
And for Badfinger, we still have this CD for sale, Ivy's Anthology Volume 2.
Okay.
And the purchase information is on my website, badfingerlibrary.com. Just follow the links to order it.
Okay.
And this Ivy's concert has Lady Madonna. The Ivy's doing a version of Lady Madonna.
Now this is they're at the Ivies at this moment, right?
Yeah. The Ivies, 1968. Okay. This is just before they released Maybe Tomorrow as a single.
Right. Okay.
So,
and you're a huge
joined Apple.
Huge Badfinger fan, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent. Very cool. So what are the two websites again?
Badfingerlibrary.com and splinterlibrary.com.
Gotcha.
All, no spaces and all undercase.
Excellent. Very cool. Good. Excellent. So thank you for joining us for this episode, Tom. It was a great learning experience for me. I mean, I've got some stuff I can check out now. So, and hopefully you out there listening can check this stuff out as well. So really good time. So thank you. Andy, what's going on in, we got a website now, right? You can check us out there.
Yeah, twolegspodcast.com is on there, and all of our links are on there, and audio and video versions of our show are both posted to there. We have all of our new artwork now, so thank you very much, Ethan Alexanian. It's across all of our platforms, so thank you for that. It looks really, really sharp. Thanks, buddy.
Yep. Yeah, thank you. Really happy with the new logo, so thank you for that, Ethan. All your thumbnails have been great. I know it was the press to play was a big letdown for everybody, but that's whatever. That's just what they had to do.
Yeah.
We have a sense of humor, but
yeah, the off the ground one will be funny too.
Right. I think that'll be great. Yeah. So, but you can find us, everybody. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Two Legs Podcast. Please check out our YouTube channel, Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. It's where you're going to see the video version of our show, and you'll see the live version of Ranking the Tracks every Wednesday night. There, please subscribe, check it out. Email us at twolegspodcast@gmail.com. We really look forward to hearing all of your comments, whether they're good or bad. And we're getting a lot of great comments from the Ranking the Track series, so please continue to check that out. And that's about it.
We're over 500 subs.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody that subscribed to the YouTube channel. We're past 500 now. So 1,000's next. When we hit the 1,000 subscribers, we're gonna do a 1,000 subscriber contest. We're just gonna have a bunch of McCartney stuff from our libraries. I'm gonna probably pick up a few more things too, and have this really big McCartney giveaway for when we hit that 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can do that by the end of the year. That'd be really cool.
I hope so.
So Tom, anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, that's about it.
Okay, well, thank you for being here once again. So for Tom, for Andy, I'm Tom as well. So everybody out there have a great day and a beautiful night. So long, everyone.
You've been listening to Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast, hosted by Tom Hunyadi and Andy Nichols, with musical contributions by Dylan